Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest, my granny, who is going to teach us how to make her homemade noodles from scratch. This is a well-loved family recipe that she made while we were growing up. Today we're going to begin by cracking 3 eggs into a medium-sized mixing bowl. Next, take one of your eggshells and fill them with water 3 times, adding each to our bowl.
Watch my hand.
Now add a pinch of salt, which in this case equals 1/4 teaspoon. Stir this together with a fork. Now it's time to begin adding our flour. We will start by adding 1 cup, and in Granny's words, beat it good. Once that is well blended, it's time to add another 1/2 cup. We will continue to add flour gradually in 1/2 cup measurements until our mixture has become a dough-like substance. This usually takes about 3 cups of flour. Our dough has formed, so now it's time to dump it out onto a floured surface and knead in 1/4 cup of flour. At this point, the dough will still be sticky, so add another 1/4 cup of flour. I ended up working in 1 cup of flour, a tablespoon at a time, to remove the stickiness from my dough. Throughout the cooking process, Granny kept saying, add another tablespoon. Therefore, we measured to be able to have an actual written recipe, and 4 of her tablespoons equal 1 cup, which means each tablespoon is 1/4 of a cup. Once your dough is no longer sticky, it's time to roll it out onto our floured surface. And, as you can see, this recipe was a family affair, so my mom decided to step in and give a helpful rolling tip. Be sure to push your rolling pin all the way out past the edge of your dough. This will help it spread farther and more evenly. Also, it's better if you use a heavier rolling pin, but if you don't have one, simply apply more force. Now we're going to let our dough sit and dry for roughly 30 minutes. You will know your dough is ready for the next step when the edges become a bit darker, and when you rub it, the dough will sound like you're rubbing a dried rabbit skin. Our 30 minutes are up, so it's time to move on to the next step, which is to cover our dough with a tablespoon of flour and then roll it up loosely. Now we're going to take a sharp knife and cut our logs in half. Then add a thin layer of flour to each half and begin cutting the rolls into little strips. Make your strips however thick or thin you want your noodles to be. On to the second roll. Take 1/4 cup of flour and sprinkle evenly over each half of your roll. Then, gently begin unrolling your strips. By the way, it's okay if some of these break during the unrolling process, since we are going to be cutting them into smaller pieces anyway. I like to do it at the very end when they are all unrolled, but if you prefer to do it as you go, that's okay too. As you can see, I have all my noodles laid out, and it's time to add, you guessed it, more flour. Cover your noodles with 1 cup of flour. Again, we simply used a tablespoon to scoop it out and let them dry for roughly another 30 minutes. Ding! Time's up and I'm ready to break up my noodles and give them a toss. At this stage, if your noodles are still sticky, you can add a bit more flour. Mine don't need it because they're looking good and ready to cook. We are now ready to begin cooking our noodles, and we're going to start by adding 16 ounces of broth and 10 ounces of water to a large pot and bringing it to a boil. Today I'm using turkey broth left over from our Thanksgiving meal. However, you could also use chicken broth or even bone broth if you prefer. Now that our broth is boiling, it's time to add our noodles. I put them in one at a time to keep them from sticking together. Once all noodles have been added, boil them for about 20 minutes and stir occasionally. By the way, you don't have to worry about adding a thickener, as the flour on the noodles will do that as they cook. About 5 minutes before your noodles are done, go ahead and add your meat, either turkey or chicken. Again, today I'm using leftovers, so I will be using turkey. Next, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then, ta-da! Your homemade soup with made from scratch noodles is done. Now all that's left to do is keep it warming until you're ready to enjoy. As is tradition, we ladled our noodles onto mashed potatoes, and it was yummy. Here's the first bite. Delicious.